I'm a little unprepared, so just bear with me. I'm kind of opening my book. I was expecting to have notes together, but I was on a call that lasted way longer than I thought. So bear with me here. But I'm super, super stoked about this workbook because this workbook is like changing things for me. Like again on our Zoom earlier, which Cami, we had gone over vision, and in that it was basically we're talking about it's all about a choice within yourself that you have to make, regardless, to follow through with your why or whatever it is that you do to become a better leader. And so if you're making the choice to let this change your life in any way, shape, or form, even the smallest, like a mustard seed, it can change your life. And I shared my testimony of how our team went Ruby within 2 weeks, and I allowed leaders retreat to change my life. So this is really valuable, and I want to leave this space open for questions, any comments, any, if you're not understanding certain things or if you're needing help in an area or anything like that, like use this time to invest in yourself, because Jessica and I are here, and like we want to learn with you, we want to grow with you, and we want to pour into you as well, so you're not a burden. And no question is a bad question. So just throwing that out there for you guys. So let's go over chapter 1. I thought chapter 1, Law of the Lid, was probably more eye-opening for me than chapter 2 was. Basically talking about you will never be better than the bar, like where you're at. So if you're at your leadership level is at a 7, you will never be better. Your results will never be better than a 6. And it's like, oh, okay. And I actually watched a YouTube video that was describing this law of the lid by somebody else, kind of like a book study like this. He was talking about the grasshopper analogy, or I think it was like a flea, or so it was a flea, right? Okay, so basically you took a cup and you had a flea in it and you put a lid on it. And the flea, they're known to jump really, really high, but they keep hitting this lid, banging their head, hitting the lid, hitting the lid. It's not working, right? We see the picture. And so eventually they stop jumping. Well, then you're like, okay, well, pull the lid off. They're not going to jump anymore, even though the lid has been removed. So I thought it was like, wow, that's actually a really great analogy, because we just stop trying at that point. We just give up. Instead of trying to pivot, instead of trying to self-develop, instead of trying to critical think. Hi, boo-boo. I just love seeing your guys' kids' faces on here. I think it's super, like, that's this business. I was telling Jessica that earlier. Like, I love your kids. So good for you guys for showing up with your kids. No judgment if they're noisy or being little naughties, good on you. So anyways, I thought that was amazing. We need pivoting. We need pouring into yourselves. That's the culture that we're trying to create more so and instill in you guys, is that self-development is key, and it is okay to fail. We fail forward. We celebrate failure here because you're admitting it, you're moving forward. Like, you will not meet a successful person that hasn't had a fail to success story, right? So this law of the lid really, really spoke to me, and I had no idea that McDonald's started out like that. If you guys read, I was like, who in the what? Okay, all right. But it's cool because you can be successful, but like you can only take it so far. And then like the McDonald's brothers only took it so far. Had they not been bought out by a guy with vision that like was willing to serve and willing to pour in and do whatever the S it took, we wouldn't have our McChicken nuggets, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, wow, okay. So like I said, sorry, you're just gonna have to bear with me. I would have had notes, but did not. We're pivoting, okay? It's fine.
Sorry.
I know. Jeremy's like, it'll only be 30 minutes. I'm like, ah. The whole time. It was horrendous for me. Love you. This is being recorded. Okay. So I think we just kind of like all agree about the observation of, like I'm just looking through this workbook since we're all going to talk about it and study it together. And as far as the learning portion of it, I was honestly a little bit confused by the graph, but I understood it because I had watched more training videos about it. It was kind of like difficult for me to understand. Did anybody have any difficulties with the two charts here?
I kind of did, and then like it asked the question, and I don't know if like it was the right answer that I gave, but I think it was like the very first question where it says, yeah, how effective will a person be if he increases his leadership but not his work ethic? Well, that's kind of what they were talking about, right? That you'll see a bigger increase. But I was just going off of what it actually said. So I was like 600% more. Like, I don't.
Yeah. I was a little bit confused too. I was
like, I understand the concept. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that was like, what are we doing here with that?
I know, I was like, maybe a leader's book has like the actual answers. I don't know.
Yeah, see, go ahead, Jess.
I think too, like it says leadership has a multiplying effect. So it's like you can do so much this way, but if you're not going like this, you're not multiplying your business. And so it's like, I mean, I answered semi-effective because it's like, yeah, you'll grow, but you're gonna lack in certain areas. So just be sure when you're doing, like for myself, I'm like, I've been doing self-development for like 6 months now. There's literally no action. So my leadership has not gone up at all. I don't have anybody new to lead. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of an example to see through my point of view. Like, if you're not doing it both ways, it's really not effective.
Yeah, I like that. I said the bar doesn't lift if they're not willing to increase their dedication. I was like, it just doesn't go anywhere. So if you're not willing to do it, you're not going to jump. Even if you see the lid off, it's not going to be worth it to you anymore. So I thought that's really good. Yeah. But that question did throw me off. So, and then I highlighted here, whatever you will accomplish is restricted by your ability to lead others. Whatever you will accomplish is restricted, which I thought like accomplishment restriction, like just the way he said it was pretty powerful for me. Because I don't want to be restricted by anything. Like I want to be an open box, like an open mind. I want to just learn all the things and pivot and keep going. Like I want to have a success mindset, and I don't want to have like, how am I restricted? So I was a little thrown by that, but at the same time I'm like very competitive, so I'm allow these things to be like, oh nope, I don't want to be restricted, I want to be the best, you know. And so I think that's a good mindset to have. Let's see.
What did you write for number 5? I'd like to know everyone's answer.
Yeah, let's see. That is a good one. Thank you. We'll let somebody else go first.
I just listed what I thought like the very first sign or symptom would be, and that would be you start to see your lack of growth. Mm-hmm. Right? Because like what really hit me hard on this was you're not a leader if there's no one following you.
Oh,
like I was telling my husband as I read this, I'm like, we kind of have our definition of what a leader is a little bit distorted, because oftentimes what we label as a leader is someone who is outgoing, willing to be out in front of everybody, right? They're like, oh, they're a leader because they seem fearless, but that is not what this is saying a leader is. If no one's walking behind me going, I want to go the same way as you and do it your way, I'm not a leader. Yeah. And I was like, oh, ouch.
Well, and you can see also how many people are following you. Even like if you're sitting at a place where you're a little bit like you have more followers, you're like, well, who is actually following me though, too, on top of that? And so I was very convicted about that too. Like, how am I showing up? Am I just referring everybody to Jessica? Like, you know what I mean? Like, am I just going to let her take over when I want to be an emerald too? Like, that's not going to work for me.
Well, and I think something that I had to learn was like, I had to go find my people that were willing to follow me or wanted to follow me, because I didn't have that. at all. I had to consistently talk about who I was and what I wanted for people to be like, oh, I'll follow that. Or, oh, I like the quotes you post, or I like the inspiration, so it's like if you don't have that following yet, because I don't want people to be discouraged that if they don't have an influence, they can't be a leader. Just go find the right people that you can lead.
Yeah, that's really great advice. It
So
really is.
I've been like dying all day to tie these two parts together from chapter 1 and chapter 2, because that really first hit me deep. But then when I got to chapter 2 today, I was like, oh, drive the knife in deeper, please. So on page 16, they're talking about the myths of what we think a leader is. And at the top of the page, it says, the best way to test whether a person can lead rather than just manage is to ask him to create positive change. And I highlighted that, but like even when he first starts talking in myth 1, right, the management myth, like this spoke to me. A widespread misunderstanding is that leading and managing are one and the same. Up until a few years ago, books claimed to be on leadership were often really about management. The main difference between the two is that leadership is about influencing people to follow, while management focuses on maintaining systems and processes. And for me, I am a process person. So when we did our little survey and asked everyone to rate us, every single person I asked about planning and strategic thinking gave me a 10. And so when I read the thing about management, I was like, oh, I'm a really awesome manager and I am not a leader.
But you know what? You have the self-awareness. Like you have the oh, conviction. Well, I'm gonna flip the script. I can see that in you.
Oh my gosh, like this is so eye-opening. But I'll admit too, it actually was it's humbling in a good way, but it's actually also very scary, because I feel like in the normal workforce, 9-to-5 type jobs, whether you went to school to get a degree or you're just out there trying to find your little niche that you fit well into, right? We search for and hopefully wind up finding a position that really speaks to our strengths and our talents. And the way of the world is you don't really have to do a whole lot of growth because I'm already good at it. That's why I got that job. And with this, it's okay, I have to become good at a whole lot of things I'm currently not to fit this and make it fit me.
You are in the best business, but also the most I couldn't even come up with a word. This is just the best business to be in. It really is.
I cannot rely on my natural talent in this. And other jobs you can. Yeah. Now, mind you, the lid at those jobs is probably that you're never going to get paid more than what you make at a management level. And this does not have a lid when it comes to payment. But it was just kind of that scary of, oh, I have to work extra hard at this. Okay.
Yeah. I saw Cammie, your hand went up. What's up, baby?
I was just going to say, it also made me reflect on the fact of being someone who's worked in I was a CNA for 17 years. And then I was also a radiation safety technician for 8 years. And it also made me reflect on the managers that I had prior and the leaders that I had prior and the things that I would like to see myself do better. And also the things that made me realize which managers were good and which managers were bad. You know what I mean? Because you also have managers, I had a manager, for example, that if we were short staffed and we needed help, she was there. It didn't matter if she worked 20-hour shifts with us. She would step up and work those shifts with us. And she would work as a CNA.
That's regardless a servant heart.
And that's regardless that she was an RN and was the director of nursing. She would just be like, nope, we're short. I'm staying.
So
if you'll stay with me.
My question is, do you see her more of a leader in a management role than just a manager? So. Right. And I think that's true. You can be a manager. That's great. We need managers, but to be a leader in a management position, I think is a whole other level. And I think it's like Ali said, we just don't think like that anymore. And so when you do have the revelations of these are the managers that I've had, and you start seeing the ones you liked and the ones that, relatable and all the things that made you feel good were those leaders that you wanted to follow them. You were excited to go to work, right?
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really, I'm really glad you brought that to the table, because it makes me think about a couple of the managers I've had and where I actually enjoyed going to work, because I hated doing 9 to 5. I really did. I think all of us do. So I love this. Johanna, do you have any input or any questions or anything? Are you resonating?
I'm just taking it all in right now.
Yeah.
Like, just because I haven't been feeling good, and like, it's just, I'm just kind of working my way through it. So I'm just taking it all in right now.
That's okay. That's fine. I love the honesty. Like, you know what? Even if you sometimes you don't get to fill out questions or whatever, like I told you guys on the initial Zoom, sometimes life happens. Jessica got her book last minute. She took the time to pour into it, and that was, her time. But she's still showing up, right? And you're still showing up, whether you fill it out or not, and you're still going to get something out of it, So I commend you for that, and I think that that's amazing. So take it in, and just being honest, like, this is a safe space for all of us. So okay. I think that was really awesome. Jessica, do you have any other, like, back in chapter 1, any discussion questions you want to go over? I really like the description ones, like, describe a situation in which your leadership would negatively affect a project or a task.
Yeah, that's the one I was going for. Like,
Yeah.
it's so, I love this book because we're like calling ourselves out. Like, so I put stubborn mindset equals a lost opportunity.
Oh,
Because it's just like, you could choose to not do it, or you could choose to do it. Like, it's, the choice is yours, and so being like, well, I already know that, or I'm not willing to learn from someone, you're losing out on opportunities to, like, you could say, I don't need that book, I'm a leader.
yes.
Okay?
And
Like,
you would
just
miss
as
out.
simple as that, and you would miss out. And so it's like, when you have these opportunities to do these Zooms, to read a book with your leader, like, I don't have this opportunity. I'm gonna jump on it. Like, thank you, Kaitlyn. So it's like, take these opportunities, whether it's a sideline or an email you get that's like, we're doing this workshop. Okay, like, this business really is self-development. And so don't have that stubborn mindset, because it will help, or will not help you hit that goal you want.
That's really good. I agree. I'll go off of my answer then. I said I halted at senior gold because I was not doing the self-development work, and I lacked the belief I wasn't hungry enough for Ruby. And it just took time for me. So I think, Jess, you sat at senior Ruby for a hot minute too. And it really is a self-development thing. Like, each rank, like, you should celebrate each rank. Silver should be celebrated, and so on and so forth. And each rank really is different. You're
Now,
learning new things.
talk about gold a little bit, because I think when we all hit gold, we're like, oh, there's 20 people I have to manage. And that's when we really get into that management mode. Okay, are they okay? Are they okay? Are they okay? Oh my gosh, who's level 1 is that? Or who's level 2? Like, it's like, it starts to get you're like, I have to organize this. Okay. While you're organizing, you're missing out on opportunities. Okay. Your back office is organized enough. You can organize it by tabs and stuff. That's all you need. Writing lists over and over and over and over again. Okay, that's actually procrastination. So, like, just thinking of how you're going to focus on this, and really, like, putting your mind to it. That hunger, guys, I'm hungry right now. I'm not freaking around anymore because I got a deadline. I'm a procrastinator, but I know when I hit that wall, there's no stopping me. So what's the wall for you guys,
Amen. That's so good. Yeah, you got to be hungry. And I think that call, Cami, Jessica recorded it. I did cuss in it like once or twice. I'm so sorry, but she recorded it. It was good. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm tooting it. Toot toot. Toot toot. Girl. Yes. Vision, fire. You're hungry for something, and you got to stay hungry. And I think that constantly is the self-development piece of it, and not staying in that management mode, like she said, because it's easy to fall into that, like, what message do I send out? You know what I mean? And so we forget about ourselves, we forget about our whys, and etc., and so on and so forth. So I want to know from you guys a situation in which your leadership negatively affected a project or a task. Even if you didn't fill it out, I just want to know.
I'll go.
What question is that?
That's number 6 on page 8. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
For me, I was in a leadership position and as a CNA, and I found it was sometimes easier to just do it myself than teach the people that I was supposed to be teaching. And I had to really learn to take a step back and be like, nope, I'm not doing it for you. You have to learn this. Like, these are the steps. I can show you the steps over again if you'd like, but because I'm the type of person, like, if I tell you more than like twice, maybe 3 times, I'm like, hey, I'm done. I'm not telling you, I'll just do it my dang self.
I know our Emerald agrees with that one. And she's like, yes, ma'am. I do too. We're like, I want to control it. It's not happening, you know? It's hard. I think that's really great. Yeah. And it's literally surrendering that control and leading just where you can lead. Yeah. Of course, if nobody's doing anything, you want to take care of the person in bed. You know what I mean? Like you got to do the things, but I really do. I think that's a good observation for yourself. And like, oh, I do tend to like take the reins here. Yeah. So, and that can negatively affect Allie.
So mine is similar. It also plays into control, but in a different way. Rather than, so I view my leadership lid in under the category of results more than anything. And it can go both ways because I can be an extremely determined person, but that is always when I have full control and I'm only relying on myself and I set my mind to it. When I can be affected by my circumstances, the people like in plexus under me or around me, anything like that, when I allow those things to impact me, oftentimes I give up before I get to the result because I'm like, oh, it's not going the way I saw it in my head. Therefore, it's not going to work out and I'm done.
Yes. I relate so much. I really do. And I think that's where my burnout comes from. And you feel burnt out, don't you? You just allow yourself to just whoosh, and that's the fire of your house and coming down instead of heating it up, you know?
I think we often can, in those moments, convince ourselves, like we could be on this good run of being a leader, not a manager, a leader. But when it looks to us like everyone stopped following us, we're like, I'm not a leader. I give up.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you feel like you're not being influential. People are turning their subs off. They're just ghosting you. They're bubble moving. You know, it's really difficult, but it's not taking it personal. You know, it's like,
and
go
asking
ahead.
yourself, how can I become more influential to them?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm such a question asker, because I'm a complainer, you guys. Literally world's biggest complainer over here. Why is this not happening? Why is this not? I don't like that. So I had to literally like stop and be like, okay, well, how do I like do the opposite? Like, that's why I say it all the time, do the opposite, because it's like we literally spew complaints and I'm not saying anyone here is complaining. I'm the complainer, but like, I will be like, why isn't this person following me? You know, ask yourself, why aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get real with yourself.
Yeah. That's good. I had to think about that too for myself for things. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Well, you know what? I'm not talking about recipes. I'm not looking like a healthy person on my social media. You know, it's getting vulnerable and hard with yourself, but not harsh with yourself. If you gotta have tough love. It's like that, just reality. It is what it is. You know, it's okay to be wrong and you fix it, whatever. You know what I mean? So I think that's one thing that us women, especially, we are so hard on ourselves. So hard on ourselves. We have a lot on our plates. We're moms, we're business women, we're wives. Like, we deal with a lot. And so we take it all on. We're very emotional. Please stop pulling on me like that. Thank you. And we just, we criticize ourselves. So I think trying to not criticize ourselves in a way that's harsh will be a benefit to our leadership. And it'll give you an opportunity to have a mindset to want to grow. Because if you kept a cage of complaint and negativity around yourself, your flower is only gonna in garden's only gonna go so far, right? You gotta take that off yourself so you can keep growing. So I think that's really, really good. What about you, Johanna? Where in your leadership do you think, let me say, describe a situation in which your leadership led negatively affected a task or project?
So when I was working full time, no kids, not even married. I mean, I was dating my husband, but like I was working at Fred Meyer, actually. And I was a checker, but I always worked like they always put me in like the closing shift. So like I always had to close like all the tills and count all the money and like everything. And so like it just felt like to me, I was just like thrown into that position and I wasn't really ready for that position. So like that just made me, I don't know, like that. I don't know if it affected me negatively, but like I think it affected negative just because like I just got like thrown in there and not just like gradually put in there. And so like that just
So my question to you is you feel like you need to have like the whole scenario done. You need to know it all in order to get it down. Like that makes you feel like you don't like to work under stress.
I don't like to work under pressure or stress or anything like that, which I mean, I don't know.
You're okay. Like I'm a verbal processor here. So like sometimes when I hear my thoughts, I'm like, oh, that makes sense to me. So just let it out.
So, I mean, like, I don't like to know it all. Like I like learning and I like to be, like, have tasks to do and stuff like that. Like that's not what I'm saying, but like just being pretty much like thrown under the bus pretty much is what I felt like when I was put in that situation. Just made it uncomfortable for me, I guess.
Okay.
Johanna,
Is what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
Johanna, would you say it's because like you didn't have the training, or would you say like because like I know you said you homeschool your kids, right?
I do homeschool my kids, yeah.
And obviously you have that knowledge and database. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to homeschool this mama could not do it. Kudos to you. So that's what I'm saying. Like, is it because like with homeschooling, you kind of have it all laid out and in your mind and you know what you're supposed to do? And in that task, you didn't feel that way? Is that what you're getting at?
I didn't. That's where I'm getting at, yes.
Okay.
So like with so like this different scenarios, like homeschooling, I have the teacher's book and like it shows me like everything I'm supposed to be doing. And then like when I was working, like I was literally it was just thrown at me. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like I wasn't experienced in that. I was experienced in cashing people out, like checking out their groceries, bagging their groceries and putting them in the cart. Like I didn't have that experience with, counting all the money and doing all of that and then depositing it. And, so yeah, it was just hard.
Okay. And so it gave you a negative experience and you
It did.
couldn't
And
leave,
like
you didn't know what you were doing.
No.
You
And
were
like
just
there was no
thrown
other
in.
bosses there to even like ask questions or, anything like that. So it was like I was there on my own doing this and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's very, when I worked at Target, they just were like, hey, you're on the register. But I had someone standing there, but I relate to the scariness of that. That is very scary. How, the customers don't know that you're new at that position or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, that makes sense. Not having the control or the knowledge or the repetitive thing you know, and just being
Right.
new at something is scary in general. And I know like you're the newest ambassador that we have, the new brand ambassador in the Zoom that we have, and you're getting to know the people, you're getting to know the culture, you're getting to know things, and that's really good. And I just encourage you to be a sponge. And like I keep trying to say is don't be hard on yourself. And that comes from someone who's, I mean, we're all our own worst critics, but my husband has had to tell me time and time again, like, why do you talk about yourself like that? Oh my goodness, you know?
It's so
So,
hard not to.
and it is, but you have, I think you can do whatever you want to do. But if you want to start loving yourself and seeing growth and change, you gotta be nice to yourself. Even when you don't know what's going on. And it's okay to own it. That's not, hey, I'm new. You like, you know what I mean? Make a joke out of it. That's what I do. You just try to be lighthearted. So thank you for sharing that. I think these are all great to learn from. I do want to know the next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how you would have how you answered this. If you didn't answer this, I want to know, because later on we had people ask us to rate us. How you did answer it and how you are answering it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you describe your leadership? And would your spouse or colleagues agree with your assessment? Let's be real here.
I said a 5. And I think there's a lot of areas I could obviously improve. Because I'm the type of person that when I get overwhelmed, I tend to shut down and retract rather than push through it and ask for help. I don't know why, but I am. And I think my husband, I didn't ask him, but I will. I think he would totally agree with me because he knows that I'm that type of person that once things get to the point that I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I can do any further, or like people aren't saying yes, they're not following me, whatever the scenario, I tend to just shut down and be like, okay, I'm done. I can't do no more.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to say, I do think that you'd be surprised by your husband's response. Usually, like I was, I think that he thinks like I do, but then like they don't have all this extra stuff going on up in here that we got, you know what I mean? And they don't see how much we suffer up here, that they're like, oh yeah, you're doing great. It's fine. You know what I mean? So like they really do see the good qualities. So I don't think your husband will be as hard on you, you know, because you cut that score right in half. You're gold. I think when you apply yourself to it, I think you're amazing. You know what I mean? But we shut down, and I resonate with that for myself even. I think even Ali said she resonates with that too. So that's common, but so you rate yourself a 5, Cami. What about you, Jessica?
I think that score is very low, Cami, first of all. Because that's just like, sorry, but 5 is 50%, which means failing, and you're not failing at being a leader. And sometimes we just don't even think to ask questions. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I have people I can ask. Like, I forgot, you know? So like, give yourself grace on that, and you need to increase that score. Anyway, I gave myself a 9. I think I can improve on consistency, submission to a coach, and asking more questions.
Yeah, cool. I think I agree with you. I think you're amazing. I mean, you're our emerald. So.
I still want to be in learning mode though. Like I think it's high, but at the same time, like I know I've done a lot of work, but I do think there's always area for improvement.
Yeah. I think with each law though, I think not everybody's going to master it.
Right.
And this is one law that I do see really well with you.
Thank you.
So yeah. So I think that, and I love that. Like you guys literally see every single person on here is like, how can I be better? How can I be better? It doesn't matter. Sideline, up line, down line, doesn't matter. How can I be better? And that's just how your mindset should stay if you want to grow, no matter what part you're at. So I think that's really great and something to take from as well and to keep doing. What about you, Ali?
So we're talking about number 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, I rated myself a 7. I was shocked, but at the same time, we've been talking about how we're more critical of ourselves. Like I was shocked that when I averaged out what everyone else rated me, it was higher than my own, but at the same time, not shocked because we're more critical. So yeah, I gave myself a 7 overall. And after asking 8 different people, the average I got from everybody was 8.6.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, I agree. So why did you give yourself a 7? Did I miss that? I'm sorry.
I think for me, like the thing I loved is that there are 3 people I asked who actually gave me like these explanations for the numbers. And then everybody else kind of just said, oh, I just, give you this number for the most part. And of course, the 3 people that gave me the explanations are my 3 best friends. So knowing, that they could talk to me like that. So I love that. And I didn't disagree with what anybody said. I think just because we're more critical, I just gave myself a lower score. But it was things like I said, planning, everyone gave me like a 10 and I knew that. But like people skills. So most people gave me an incredibly high score, but like Jessica was one of the people I asked. And the thing I loved so much about what she said is everyone kind of had this perception of people skills, of outward people skills, but she was the only person who said I need to be more approachable. And that really had the light bulb go off for me. And I wasn't even thinking that when I gave myself a 7. I was being a little bit harsher on myself for like vision and results, but it kind of all plays into each other because I thought, if I was more approachable, I'd see more people coming to follow me and that would open up more doors and maybe my vision would grow.
Yeah, because we're all different here. Her view of you is different from my view, different from Cammie's view. Everybody's view is different. So that's really good feedback. And I love how receptive you are to that. That's really good.
Well, and not only that, being someone that has just slowly got a friendship with Allie, her and I have been talking, and like it started off as I'm her water buddy, and I just send her random messages, drink water, and she's like, yes, drill sergeant.
I love it.
And now, like, the more we've talked, the more I really love Allie, and I have gained a friendship with her, and we've discovered that we have a lot in common. But at first I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And I was like, I'll just send, no offense, Allie, I love you. I do, but you just, like, you said, would you help me? And I was like, yeah, but then it wasn't like we really ever were like, hey, how are you today? Like, it was nothing like that. And
yeah, it's just everybody's different. Yeah, that's so cool. And like now this like relationship is cultivated.
Yes,
we all have areas to work on. Yeah, like we do in our leadership. I will go before Johanna. I also rated myself very low. So when Jess says that's a failing score, I'm like, ooh, I'm a D because I gave myself a 6. And I think I don't read ahead before, I just do a question, then go. So I wasn't quite sure, people skills, planning, vision, all that stuff. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just my own idea of leadership based off of what I already read. Very critical of myself. But I said on a scale of 1 to 10, my leadership is at a 6 right now because I have great qualities, but lack strong vision and dedication and follow through. So I guess I know vision as a leader was a thing, but I'm very hard on myself with the consistency and the follow through. It's like how I brought up to you guys on my very first Zoom with this last week. Like I didn't want to get on Zoom. Like if I don't want to do something, I won't do it. And Jessica called me out on that. Like I'm like, how do I be better? It's like if you don't want to do it, you just won't. You know what I mean? And which is could be a good thing, but in the case of growth, it's not, because I'm not going to grow. So I was very hard on myself. And of course, the people that I asked rated me higher than I thought. I did get a couple of responses where I was like, okay, like that opened my mind and my eyes to where I needed to grow more. I need to have like smaller vision for myself and not so big, because my thoughts are already so expansive. I don't know how to reel them in and keep them collected and stuck to myself like glue. So I needed that vision call just as much as everybody else did today. So that was something I could work on as a leader, because in my opinion, being a leader is casting a vision that's a sticky vision. And by sticky vision, I mean, you guys are going to carry it with you. You guys are going to carry the culture of Team Triumph with you into your own diamond teams. And so that's being a great leader, right?
Can I
And
just address the chat. Cami
Yeah.
said, no, it's okay. Sometimes she feels like she's bugging us. Why can't I hear now?
She's muted.
Oh, Kaitlyn's muted. Why are you muted?
Did you mute me?
I didn't mute you.
Did I mute myself?
I'm like, what's happening?
iPhone, you are not bugging us. Come on, Cami.
Cami, this is literally what I wake up for. Just to like help people, and like be their resource. Like I literally don't go to work because I like to do this more. So when you don't bug me,
I will work
like,
on reaching out more.
where's
I do. I feel bad.
the
I'm always like, oh, am I going to be bugging them in the middle of something? Like I never, it's not like I know what you're doing, and so I just somehow was like, oh,
you got to hear my perception.
back to you on that.
Yeah, no, my perception is my team doesn't need me. They're just fine by themselves. They don't even want me. That's how I feel. Like, so like when you guys are like, I feel like I'm bugging you, I'm like, I'm literally just sitting here waiting. Like that's how you'll feel when you're an emerald. You just be waiting on your team, or you'll be doing your own thing. You know what I mean? But like, don't ever feel like you're bugging your upline, because they're literally working this because they enjoy it.
Yeah.
They either enjoy the paycheck or they enjoy the people or both, but like there's a reason they're doing it. So bug them
Yes.
or go above them.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Did
I had a thought while you were talking about the way your vision works. If you have this big, crazy vision and it still sometimes needs those vision calls. I just had this thought too about what I was talking about earlier about it seeming scary that I have to become strong at everything to be really successful. But then as you were talking about you having all this vision, and I'm thinking to myself, and I have all this planning and you're not a planner, I'm like, that's the other thing I think we need to keep in mind is we aren't doing this alone. This isn't like, it's my business, but it's not just my business. And like getting on these calls, the vision calls, or reaching out to your leaders and not feeling like you're bugging them. Because the thing is, I can work on my own growth, but you're naturally talented at vision and I'm naturally talented at planning. And if we will come together, we can take some of the burden off of each other so that I don't have to be a 10 at everything.
Amen, sister. That's why I really want us all to focus the kind of business we are in. It is the best out there. And we are at the best company with the best team at the best time. It's yours for the choosing and the taking. All yours, right? And you're just reaffirming that by saying that. Jessica's great at law of the lid. You're great at this. I'm great at that. Johanna's here. Cammie's here. And we all come together and we create such a bonded, sticky, amazing, beautiful team that can change the world. And we're all believers here, right? Like, we're going to change the world for God and the better. And we just get to do this instead of, we have to do this. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's truly amazing. And I love that. Thank you for bringing that up, Allie. So Johanna, how would you rate your leadership on a scale of 1 to 10?
So I rated myself really low, just because I'm still working on my self development and my leadership skills and stuff like that. Like I have people below me, but like I'm still working on that. But I rated myself a 5. I didn't ask my husband just because he was already gone at work. But I rated myself a 5, and I think that's, I don't know. I mean, it's low, but I still have room to work, like I have room to grow. There's, like I'm willing to grow. I want to learn. I want to, like I want to learn all the things, and, it's all going to come together, and I know it will, and I know I'll grow. But just working on like my leadership skills, and, like reading these books and reading the books that you guys recommended and stuff like that, I know will help me grow also. So that's what I
Yeah.
rated myself, as a 5.
Yeah. So I think that, I just keep thinking like it's almost like you explaining how you were, thrown into the register. Like, of course you chose to have this business, you chose to be a brand ambassador now, but this is new for you. Leadership, we've all been a leader at some point in our lives, but we don't like think like that. Like Ali said earlier, I think like our perception of leadership is off. So I think you're doing the workshop and you're really grasping on to this right now. And being that sponge is the first step you can be because you'll probably find that you can excel in this, the law of the lid, and but you might find that you're really freaking bomb in a different law. Like I was telling us that, like there might be a law that, girl, we gotta work on it. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh shoot, she got it this week. You know what I mean? Like this one, it's fine. But I think having that mindset, and I do want to say, like, your people that you're leading, they're with you. They're not behind you. They're not below you. They're with you. You're serving with them. And I think what you're doing is amazing. You're showing up even though you haven't been feeling good. Like you're presenting really good qualities. You're showing up on Zooms. You're participating. So if you're just, I think focusing on what it defines in this book, leadership's law of the lid skills, kind of like people skills, the planning and critical thinking or strategic thinking, vision and results, and you start looking at that in your life. How am I leading my children? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't just have to be the business.
Right.
How am I leading in these areas? Am I instilling vision in my kids, etc.? And doing that, and maybe like reassessing yourself, because now I'm like, I don't even know how to coach through this right now. She said 5 is failing. Oof. See, like I'm learning something here too, you guys. Like, it's obvious given, but like literally, I don't think like that. She does, I'm not gonna think like Ali. I'm not gonna think like you guys. So this is so cool that we're doing this. I think we should move on to chapter 2, unless anybody else had anything else to say about law of the lid. Nope. Okay, we're good. So the law of influence, I highlighted the very first sentence. If you don't have influence, you will never be able to lead others. Point blank, leadership is influence. Nothing else. Nothing else. That is huge. And I had no idea about our president, Lincoln, who was in the military like that. Joking, if you haven't read it, it was talking about how Abe Lincoln, he was like high up in the military, but he didn't know what the heck he was doing. You might relate to this. And he ended up getting demoted. But like at first he was very influential, but like he started getting demoted in the ranks of the military. He just didn't know what he was doing, and he wasn't becoming influential. And then so he wasn't being great at a captain, and then I don't remember he overcame his inability to influence others, and then he followed his time in the military with undistinguished stints in the Illinois state legislature and the House of U.S. Representatives. So he's kind of flipped the script here, and obviously became a president, a well-known president, with massive influence. So that was crazy to me. And then the leadership proverb that I had highlighted in this, in the thing says, he who thinks he leads but has no followers is only taking a walk. Whoa, did that like whoop right in the gut? Owie. dang, I was just sprinting and I look behind, nobody's there. I'm not cool enough. What? So that really stuck. I love those one-liners. Those get me. And then no matter what anybody else may tell you, remember that leadership is influencing, nothing more and nothing less. So this did not touch me as much as the other one got me in the first, because I had already kind of done this with the videos that I have watched. But I still think that it was really important to like reflect and see, you know, who you think as a leader and like how they're influential, and just seeing like what is influencing people nowadays. I think core values will always stay the same, but I think like the thing itself will change. Because right now it's health and wellness, baby. That's what I'm telling you. We have got it right now. There's urgency behind this, and we're in the spot. So we need to be talking about health and wellness. We need to be influencing others by being like the ones that are doing it. Go to Orange Theory. Go make your healthy stuff. You know, we're all taking supplements for health reasons. We all have weight goals. We all have it. Go do it. Go influence it. Go show it, right? So let me look through here. Jess, do you have anything to add while I look, or?
No, I want to know, like, what are some positive ways you could expand your influence in your organization? That's number 6 at the end-ish, under discuss. I think that's like a super huge question when it comes to this business. Like what are some ways you're going to expand your influence?
I think for me, it was a big eye opener. I don't, not only like, not necessarily that I didn't know it, but like, to me, if a person is put in a position like, oh, because you get to be a manager just because, I don't feel like they appreciate it as much because they didn't earn it. And so I feel like that was kind of the thing with our president, is they put him in that high position and he didn't have to earn that position. And so eventually he got demoted because he didn't put the work in, and he wasn't maintaining that work either. He wasn't even trying, And so for me, it was one of those like, I definitely feel like I need to work harder to earn what I want rather than just hoping that it'll come. Don't sit on that. Sorry.
Okay.
But that's kind of my thought on that one. Is I feel like I keep hoping that I'll get people to share, and I'm to the point that I think I just need to go out and find people that'll share and be like, hey, let's start out by finding you 3 friends instead of just hoping. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting bold with it. How are you going to expand your influence, Allie?
The thing that came to mind for me when I was answering that question was actually what you rated me for vision, saying that I need to do something like host, like lead a masterclass or Zoom or something like that. And as we're doing this, I'm thinking to myself, whether it's the results we want or not, right? There are people on this Zoom following Kaitlyn because she said, I'm going to do this. You're going to do this with me? And so right now, even if we are only talking exclusively about the Zoom and nothing else in her life, she's being a leader because she has followers. And that's what we're talking about, right? She's expanding her influence to those of us who are participating. And because now what's going to happen is the ripple effect. I'm learning something from it. So I'm taking how she influenced me and I'm going to go attempt to influence somebody else. And so she's literally expanding her influence even beyond what she will see. And I think that's a big part of it, is we have to put on that leadership hat, and nobody's going to follow us unless we try to get them to follow us to do something. And a lot of the times I think we get stuck in the thought of just getting people to buy a welcome pack and get on the supplements, and that's enough. Yes, my business grows like that, but that's one of those leadership lids because I'm only leading them in one way. Now they're taking supplements, but what else? Are they trying to become leaders of someone else, to someone else, to someone else?
Are
And
they
that's
becoming
the
successful on the products? Yeah.
right. And so it is really that simple, like me contacting Jessica and saying, you know what, I'm not ready to do my own Zoom, but I would love to go live once a week.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you're influencing other people. Even sidelines, like you said, it's a ripple effect. Any which way it goes, you're pouring that out there in the universe to God, showing like you're pouring joy out there and influence and servanthood to a team that's going to pour back into you. It'll come back into you. And I really think that's how God made all of this to work. That's
When it's
really
like its
good.
own training, right? You know, you're talking about the difference between having an emerald team under you or a gold team. And like it's training. I may be only doing it for sideline sisters right now, but that becomes training so that as my team's growing, I'm ready to lead a Zoom of 10, 15 people that are under me because I'm feeling more confident because I've been doing the work to know I'm leading people who will follow.
Yep.
That's really good, Allie. I love that.
Johanna, how are you going to increase your influence? Expand it.
I don't know. Um, so recently I've just been trying to reach out to people like that I've never talked to about Plexus and or the business, like the business part of Plexus, also like people that are talking, like people that I've talked to like in the last probably like month, that say they can't afford it or they're not financially stable, or like I bring up, okay, well, if you add 3 people, then you can do it this way, or you can get that financial freedom if you add the people, or just share it, or something like that. And most of them have ghosted me now, which hurts, because I'm like, okay, well, I've reached out and now they don't want to talk to me. Like, I feel like I don't want to feel spammy and just like keep messaging them, but like I know they see my messages because I can see that they've seen my messages. So I think just being consistent and keep reaching out to like new people, I think is going to help me in the long run, and just being positive about like our products and just everything pretty much. I mean, just being positive in all of it is just going to help, I think, and expand like everything in my journey and everything else.
So something that I would think about for everyone is like, what are your credentials? You're a homeschooling mom. You worked, I don't know where else you worked besides Fred Meyer, but just using that as an example, like that's your, your experience.
Yeah.
And so if you're a homeschooling mama and you're talking about gut health, what are your credentials behind that? If you don't have results yet, what are those credentials? Maybe expanding your influence would look like taking a class. Say, I took a master class last night. I actually learned about, how to talk to people. I have new credentials under my belt. It's owning that experience that you have.
Yeah.
I'm reading this book right now. Like, I am developing myself as a leader. That is a credential people are going to see that I am doing. Or, taking a college credit class, or taking up a cooking class, like Kaitlyn's talking about, taking up a gardening class. This is going to expand the influence to new people. It's getting yourself out there, or, starting a walking group, or saying my neighborhood doesn't have a safety plan in place. I'm going to influence everybody to be a part of this group so that we are safe and we know when there's a coyote on the road. Okay, that's, whatever the heck it is. It's the stupidest example. But, like, I think when you think about expanding your influence, it's how can I have more credentials to be able to speak to these people? If I'm talking to people that are all about makeup and I'm talking about gut health, they actually don't know anything about it. How am I credentialed to speak to them,
Good. Yeah. I think it goes for all of us. We're all selling health and wellness. We're sharing it, we're talking about it, we're copy and pasting what other people are saying, but do we really know what that means for us scientifically? Are we watching? Like, there's videos on YouTube that the doctors who are scientifically putting this stuff together in Plexus, that's on their YouTube channel, right? So like there's plenty of resources, and you can expand your knowledge like that and your credentials, like she said. And it, a lot of it has to do with results too. My side by sides really show, my experience really shows. And that's how I believe I became more influential. Was I did keto and I worked my little booty off with that, lost a butt ton of weight, showed up on Instagram, showed up on my Facebook, did lives even before I knew about Plexus or had considered taking it. But I had showed the world that I knew my stuff when it came to macro, micronutrient, you know what I mean? I became what, you know, I was doing, and I was sharing that, and it's having consistency with that. So having results, doing these challenges and pouring everything into these challenges. Our team putting on these challenges, Jessica going live in these challenges, Jessica going live in Team Triumph, isn't just to just show her pretty face up on there. You know what I mean? Like, it's for everybody to pour in and be healthy. We're in a health and wellness team. So like, these challenges are important. They're not just to sell a welcome pack. And I, at fault, I used that in March, the one that we did with Giannina's team, like, get on. It was a way that I used to sell a welcome pack. Did not have follow through because I did not do the challenge. Strictly calling myself out here for that. You know what I mean? So becoming a student of your product, becoming a student of the business, becoming a student of health and wellness is going to be, you know, the best. And you guys are becoming students of the business right now with this Zoom, with becoming leaders. And so you're already taking really massive steps, and I want to congratulate you guys all for that. It takes a lot of work. It takes humility and like to humble yourself and come before other women who you may not know, you know? Johanna, you don't know Cami from anything. You know what I mean? And you're here being vulnerable, as all we all are. So that's truly amazing. And I could go on about that because I just love every single one of you so much. Do you have anything that you want to share with number 6, Jessica?
Oh, I just put, I need to take a class, like, or, you know, a lot of the times I'll get on these little kicks of just like, what is ulcerative colitis? Why does it happen? What is it doing? Where is it coming from? And I'll just turn into this Google machine. And that's how I get 90% of my posts, you know? And so it's like, if you're stagnant in your business, like, think about your body, what's going wrong? Now go Google it. Why? What are you deficient in? Why does that happen? Where does it come from? What? Tell people. They don't know. If you have fibro, tell me about fibro. I have no idea. I don't have fibro. Like, educate me. How do you get it? Where does it come from? What is something that would help you? Is it, you know, a nerve supplement? Is it that you need gut health? Is it that you need fuzzy blankets? Like, I don't know. Like, so it's just like, you're just educating people on what you do, and like, the results and the credentials is really the same. And I'm not saying anybody can't do it because they're not result happy or credential happy. It's just, when you're talking, you want to be able to back it up. And like Kaitlyn said, how much research are you actually doing? Or are you copying and pasting? Because that's only going to get you guys so far, is copying and pasting. Like, you actually have to like do some work.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good.
You know, you want people to trust your word. If I talk about the gut microbiome and I'm like, I actually don't know what the gut is actually.
Yeah.
You're going to buy it from me? No. If I'm like, the skin microbiome goes 7 layers deep, you're going to be like, okay.
You will be like, oh, she's my doctor.
Right.
People really are like that though. They really are.
I have to tell you guys, so have any of you seen people posting for the MLM Ariel?
Yes.
Okay, so I've always suspected, especially because a lot of their products are gummies, but today I actually reached out and asked someone about the ingredients, And you guys, they're all selling gut health and there's sugar in their products. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
So you know how sugar affects the gut and you go post about sugar in the gut.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
that
those
made
kinds
me
of
actually
things.
really sad, and I felt bad for them because I'm
Yeah.
like, they are seeing some sort of result most likely because they like their products have like CBD stuff, right? It is different. So they're seeing some kind of result, but like I saw a girl specifically said it's designed to help with your gut and this, and I'm like, if it has sugar, it is not designed to help your
Right.
gut.
And we could be talking to people like that who actually know their stuff just to test us. Seriously, that can happen. That's why you know your things. And I don't know if Johanna, you were a part of Team Triumph during the time Jessica was doing her Zoom or her lives with product breakdown, but go watch some of those product breakdowns. She will go over like Ease is compacted full of, you know, Metaburn has compacted full of all these different vitamins and nutrients in it. And she'll break down each one. And I'll tell you what, each one has like 5 different freaking things that it does. It's amazing. That's actually how I got Tiffany to take these products with us, because I was like, babe, you're not saving money. Like, you're taking magnesium and this, that's all in one. You know what I mean? So I think a good challenge is, and I don't even know, sometimes I rely on Tara and Jessica. I'm like, okay, like, welcome back. You know what I mean? So I could be better about that. We all could, you know, but do that. Start looking at our products and fall in love with the products. Fall in love with what it does. Get fired up about it, because we have the best products in the business. And I'm not just saying that because I've been here for 2 years or taken it. I'm saying it because I've seen lives changed and all of the things above. Like, there's no business better. Plexus pours into their people and they pour into their high quality products. So,
well, and can I just say something? Like, I was just sitting here listening to you talk, and it's like 3 years ago, I didn't know any of you, nor did I know that like these would be leaders showing up on my team. You know what I mean? And like, I want you guys to just hang tight, because the people you're going to meet on this journey, it's just amazing. And they're going to become the best people you've ever met. And they're going to be people that want to follow you. It's going to be exciting. Yeah, that love you and that want more for you. And you're going to feel the same way about them. So just like really keep that grit, keep that, you know, that grace, and keep learning, because the leaders are learners. Point blank, you know, and you never stop learning, you're never going to stop leading. So keep going, you guys.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to end at. We've been on here for about an hour and 10 minutes. You guys are amazing. Look at that investment. For me, it felt like it flew by, but I just love you guys so much. I'm so grateful. I cannot wait to get through these chapters with you and learn more about you, learn more. Oh, we're taking a picture. Learn more about you and just love on you. And you guys are gonna soar. You're gonna freaking soar. I see it.
I'm gonna stop the recording with that, so everyone wave.